So you've increased the size of the wheels and the tires on your stock Jeep, and now your speedometer's off, and if you're driving an automatic, it doesn't shift exactly where it used to, and you're looking for something that can help. What's up, everyone? Paul with Jeep Beef, and today we're doing something a little bit different. Today we're doing an interview with the guys over at Z Automotive. They're the inventors of the TaZer JL. They have a couple of different products, but in the Jeep Beef Jeep, we're running 37s on the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine, and I gotta tell you, it's like driving it stock. It's unbelievable. It is so quick. I believe the gentleman who did the alignment called it zippy. Running 37s, he couldn't believe it. Ryan couldn't believe it. I can't believe it. It's amazing. So we're gonna find out how they invented this, how it can help you. They're working on a JK version. They have some other products. It's pretty awesome. So I'll bring the guys in and let's see what they're up to before we transition into our interview. So let's do it. Let's get into it. Let's talk about performance and how this TaZer JL can make your Jeep that much better. All right, hello, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Light Bars and Lockers. This week we have something a little bit different. Of course, we're joined by Tim Rogers and Ryan Stuangi. How's it going, guys?
Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, so this week we're doing something a little bit different. We have an interview with Joe Zizzadoro and Mike Giomedda. Both of these gentlemen are with Z Automotive. I had the opportunity to speak with them last week. Yeah, it was a pretty awesome conversation. We'll get to the interview in a minute, but this Z Automotive, the chip is pretty awesome. The TaZer, it's pretty cool. Ryan, you had a chance to take a peek at it when we installed it there on the JL, but pretty cool, pretty awesome story.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty awesome. It's definitely in depth, the most in depth little tuner I've ever used, that's for sure. And I was getting a little late when we were doing it, but I had one of my techs in there and he was just freaking out. He was sitting there laughing, doing all these different fire lights and this, that, and the other, and shutting all this stuff off and turning shit on. It was I was impressed with it. I mean, I'd like to get one for myself and sit down with it for a few hours and mess with it, but yeah, I thought it was really cool. For sure.
With that said, then let's get to it. We'll flip over to the interview and we'll learn more about the Z Automotive company and the TaZer JL. All right, what's up? Welcome. Thanks for joining us for this awesome interview. Today we have the opportunity to speak with the founders of Z Automotive. In particular, we've got founder and president Joe Zizzadoro, and we're joined by marketing and dealer sales Mike Giomedda. How's it going, guys?
It's doing well. How about you?
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. I want to quickly touch on, for those who aren't familiar with Z Automotive, what exactly is Z Automotive, and in particular, how does it sort of fit into the overall Jeep landscape? Joe, let's start with you.
We are a manufacturer and developer of electronic products for Jeeps and other cars. Primarily making programmers so that you can change the configuration of the Jeep, and our programmers also add a lot of value-added features to the Jeep, the things that the factory didn't add that we were able to come up with some of our own nifty features.
Amazing. I love it. And I've got to ask, because I heard that there's a very interesting story in how you got this entire thing started. So tell us, how did you get into, because it is sort of a random, super chips for cars, if you will. How did you get into it?
Well, I've always been a bit of a car head, and I also happen to be an electrical engineer. And back in 2007, I bought a leftover Dodge Charger Daytona, my first muscle car. And short while after I got it, I decided to go try to do donuts in the car, have some fun, and the car wouldn't let me. Turns out there's an electronic stability program in the car that can't be turned off, can't be disabled. I looked up online to see if there was anyone else that figured out how to disable it, and there really wasn't a way. And I was determined to figure out something. So I figured out a way to circumvent the ESP so I can have some fun in the car. and I posted a how-to on one of the forums back in the day before Facebook. And it got a ton of views, a lot of comments, and everyone said, that's great, but we don't know how to build that. So if you build it, we'll buy it. And basically that's how the company started. Sold many of those no ESP products.
Amazing. Yeah. No, that's so good. That's cool. I love that it was just born out of necessity to do donuts. Like, it's amazing, right? You found a need in the marketplace and you filled the need. I love it. How long ago was that you did that?
That was in 2007. I started the company February of 2007. I bought the car January 1st. So it wasn't too long.
Really?
After the car where it started. I waited the 500 miles for the break-in period, but that was it.
Nice. That's awesome. And you guys, you're located you're in upstate New York, yes?
We're on Long Island. We're in the middle of Long Island.
Okay, right. There you go. Awesome. That's amazing. So where do you go to do donuts in Long Island?
That happened to be a Walmart parking lot.
I see.
Not too much free land here.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. All right. So then let's talk about the progression. Then and just actually quickly going back to that, are your products FCA specific or do you make them for other brands as well?
The performance products are FCA specific. I do have some other products in other markets that do some Ford products. Really, that's about it right now.
Okay. And sidebar, are you planning on doing some Bronco stuff then?
Possibly.
Okay. Fair enough.
Depends once we get more information on the Bronco.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So let's talk about how then you transitioned to Jeeps. Was it just a natural progression because they're also part of the FCA brand, or?
Not really. Actually, the Jeeps didn't happen until way later. So from 2007 until 2018.
Oh, wow.
It was all Dodge Chrysler muscle cars. For the first 5 years or so, I had people on the forums asking me to make little modifications, little boards to control their engine fans for the track. A lot of little odds and ends, specialty designs. And in 2010, I figured out how to make a transmission controller for the same, for those older Chrysler cars where you can really change how the transmission shifts and how strong it shifts, chirp second, again, back to the old muscle car days.
Sure.
All electronic, just by fooling the computers. From 2010 to 2015, that was pretty much carried us. In 2015, I came up with the TaZer, which is a programmer for the newer style cars. So the 15 Challenger and up and the Charger. And with that, I was able to change the configuration of the car to add performance pages and SRT drive modes to cars that aren't SRTs.
Which is awesome.
A ton of features.
That's how we met.
And that's really... Yeah, that's what put us on the map. That's actually how I met Mike. I put a post on a forum. I said, does anyone have a 2012 Challenger that I can borrow for a day? And he's like, I got one.
It's brand new. I didn't even hit the 500-mile mark.
Is that right?
And then
I was like
6 months, 6 months later, I was working on the TaZer, and I said, does anyone have a 2012 to 2014 Chrysler 300C? Again, up comes Mike.
Really?
I got one of those. Borrowed his car for a week, and that's really how I got the TaZer going. I didn't buy my own Challenger. It's one sitting behind me here until 2016. So I actually was working on a product that I had no car for a while there.
Many parking lot meets on lunch.
That's amazing.
So from 2016 to 2018, it was really just working on the cars, working on the TaZer, adding tons of features to the TaZer for the cars. And in late 2017, and another employee of mine at the time had a contact at America's Most Wanted 4x4. Okay. They're primary company that does engine swaps in Jeeps, where they put 6.4s and Hellcats in Wranglers.
Yeah, sure.
And he knew what I did, the owner of that company, and he said, you have to make a TaZer for the Wrangler JL. And I looked up the JL. I looked at, as best I can tell, it looked like it was using the same electrical system, mostly, as the Challenger that I had. And I said, I think I can do it. I think I could do it pretty quickly. So I put in an order for one of the first JLs made in early 2018. I think it was March 2018. It got delivered. And within 3 weeks, I had the TaZer JL out, which was by far the first to market. It had every feature that was necessary, from changing tire size and gear ratio and messing around with a lot of the other systems that people would want to typically do on a Jeep. And since then, I've just been We've been just adding features to it. We have other new products we'll talk about, but the TaZer JL really put us on the map.
That's amazing.
It did.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And Mike, so how long have you then been with the company? So since did you start right away when you brought your 300C in, or?
No, it was just more of, like Joe said, it was a kind of a side gig because he was an electrical engineer by trade. But at one point, I think we were sitting at a what was it, like a
pizzeria,
Panera Bread or something. It was a Panera Bread.
I love it.
He said, do you think, I should do this full time? I'm like, let's give it a shot. Let's do a year. And that's when, I built the website. We gave the company a brand and created logos for all the products. And, from there, that's when we started hitting the ground hard and guerrilla marketing, going on forums, pushing the thing and advertising it. And by the time when the JL product came out, it was kind of penetrating a different market. It's a completely different breed.
Sure.
Guys want to do donuts in parking lots, and some people just want to get their truck dirty and go through the mud and go off road, and so that was a completely different thing. So I've been with Joe for almost 4 years now, since and it was just me and him, and then we kind of grew this thing from where it was just me and him to now, who we'll talk about later. We have an engineer, Matt and Mike, and they're really helping too.
That's
taking
amazing.
the company to
so I guess
where it is.
The year ended up turning into multiple years. So I guess that year was a success.
Every year's been a very big success.
That's
our growth rate has been almost difficult to keep up with, but we've managed.
Because we went to SEMA one year, just me and him, and it was just kind of like no one knew who we were. And then last year we went to SEMA, and the eBay guy, remember that? He was like, Z Automotive, and we're like, yeah. He's like, I bought your TaZer JL product. Just wanted to say we love it. We're like, oh, are we in trouble when the guy called us that? But it was kind of cool just stepping on the carpets and people just seeing us wear our T-shirts and just seeing that growth. Was kind of some to see, and that like seeing cars with our sticker on it, the Jeeps, the builds, and
that's a very cool experience. Yeah, for sure.
It definitely is.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, great. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the TaZer then. Obviously, the Jeep community, our listener base, super interested, and you're right. We have a wide variety of Jeeper that watches this, from the people that are just interested in some of the features. I think they would be interested in some of the features from the lights and what have you, because they don't really take it off road, to the hardcore, like, we want to just take it out and destroy this bad boy. And I think the TaZer, I'll tell you a little story. So we installed the TaZer on the Jeep JL. So we went to 37s with a 2.5 low center of gravity combat lift, and I took it to the team at Combat, and they've been doing lifts and what have you for years. They typically use other brands. I won't say the names of the brands, but they typically use another brand. And when I got there, they said, hey, like, here, like, we're gonna have to throw this in. And I was like, no, I brought my own. I have the TaZer. I have the TaZer Mini. Like, so we'll throw that in. I swear to God, by the end of the night, all of them were like around the Jeep, checking out different things. Look, oh my gosh, you can do this and that. And I guarantee there's an order coming your way from all of those guys. So let's talk a little bit more about the TaZer, what it does, maybe the differences between the Lite and the Mini. But at a high level, let's just say, what is the TaZer and what does it do, and how's it going to help someone with their Jeep?
So the TaZer has two primary sets of functions. One is configuration changes. And those are changes you can make to the configuration of the Jeep where they stay with the Jeep. Even if you remove the TaZer, they'll stay. And they're all things that the factory allows for. They don't necessarily allow the dealer to change these things, but they're built into the programming. So, for example, you can change the wheel size, to correct the odometer, the speedometer, and to keep the transmission happy so it shifts properly. You can change the gear ratio if you change the gears in the differentials. You can change the transfer case ratio. So, say you put a Rubicon transfer case in a Sport, you can do that and make up for it. You can tell it that the lockers have been removed, so you don't get locker warnings, sway bar warnings. There's a lot of configuration changes you can make. You can put LEDs, LED headlights, taillights, turn signals. There's a number of those changes you can make. And that's all in what we call the settings menu, which is configuration changes. We have a whole nother menu and a whole nother set of features called live features, which those are all little programming macros we make to tell the Jeep to do different things that aren't available from the factory. And some of them aren't available from any other manufacturer. Some of those are like the turn cam feature, where you put your turn signal on and the backup camera comes on. The light shows, which seems to be a big hit. People that take their Jeeps to car shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Line lock. That was carryover from the muscle cars to do burnouts. And I didn't think it would be too popular with Jeeps, because who wants to spin 37s and waste a good set of 37s? But you'd be surprised.
Yep.
The number of burnouts. We have full locker control. So that is a live feature where you can press a button, or you just press the locker button, and you can use the lockers in 2-wheel drive or 4-high, which normally the factory doesn't let you. You can just able to disconnect the sway bar at any speed.
We got button mapping, which was, I don't know if you mentioned.
Button mapping, so you can map certain buttons on the steering wheel to some of these functions. So if you want to, quick access sway bar disconnect, you can use one of your cruise buttons to hit it immediately.
But what's cool is we listen to the community too, and we listen to the requests. And if it works and it fits our agenda, we definitely listen to what they have to say, because I believe some stuff came out of that.
Oh, so a lot of these features did come from customer requests. We either via Facebook, we're very active on social media. Facebook, we have a section on our website where you can submit a request. We listen to that, and other big names in the Jeep community. We listen to them. Yeah,
for sure. And that's one of the things that I noticed about it was it seems like the many of the features, I mean, you just think it was built by Jeepers for Jeepers. I mean, somebody who actually knows the Jeep, whether it's because you listen to the community or because you're an avid off-roader in the Jeep community, it seems like the features that are there, like I am telling you, the faces of these guys at Combat, like they were lit up, like they were, it was like Christmas morning. It was awesome. Just because there's so many cool features for like any application, right? The locker thing, I think, was something that caught their attention. You can shift the lockers 2-wheel drive, 4-high, which is great. There are times where that might come in handy.
Yeah, and there are other programmers that can do things like do the lockers, but then you have a programmer plugged into the port and a wire hanging with a handheld, we make it so that it's part of the car. It's integrated into the Jeep as if it was factory. So like the lockers, there are no buttons. You use the locker button as if it was built by the factory that way.
Yep, which is great. And I'll tell you, between us, we have a video that we're putting together, which is we're going to do the the TaZer versus the Flash Cal. And just look at, because, we have both. And the feature set is far different. And to be honest, the Z Automotive, for everyone watching this, is much better. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to be happier. From experience, I can tell you this. You're going to be happier with the TaZer. So, yeah, so stick around. Hit the bell if you're on YouTube so you can get notified when that video comes out, because it'll be coming out very soon, I think. Let's talk real quick. So we've discussed a little bit of the features of the TaZer and what it does. When somebody goes to the website and they want to purchase one, they're going to generally see two options, right? They're going to see the TaZer Lite or the TaZer Mini. Well, let's talk about the differences between those two.
So the TaZer Mini is the full-blown TaZer for Jeeps, for Wrangler JL and the Gladiator JT. That has the full feature set. I think at this point we're up over 40 features or something like that.
Yeah, a good amount.
That's at a price point of $329. And being that there are other cheaper programming options out there if you're just changing gears and tire size, and of course the dealer is always an option, not that I recommend that.
Nobody does.
We wanted to come up with something that really tried to target both markets. So we took the TaZer JL Mini and stripped it down to just a core set of features. And we call it the TaZer JL Lite, and that's at $219, I think we have it at. That does gear ratio, tire size. You can keep the electronic stop-start off. It's like a memory function.
Yeah, and that's a big one.
Yeah, it's got a handful of features, but not all of them. It's a subset of the features. It does tire pressure, but we also built into it the upgrade path. So if you buy the Lite and decide later on you want the Mini, you can just go on our website, purchase an activation key for it, and instantly upgrade the thing to a Mini.
And we also do have a chart on there as well that a comparison chart. So if you go into it, you can click on it, you can actually see, what comes with the light, what comes with the Mini. So from there too, you can actually see what features you get, you don't get.
Amazing. Yeah, no, and that's interesting. I didn't know that about the just getting the upgrade key. That's great. If you only need part of the feature set today, get the light, and then if you want to, which I'm pretty sure you'll want to later because it has so many great features. You want to upgrade, you just pay the difference. Which is, I'm telling you, I think that's really a great selling feature. So cool. All right, so then talking about the TaZer, and actually talking about Jeeps in particular, something that I feel a lot of our community and the people listening to this would be interested in is another product that you all have, the Z Locker. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, so we actually have two versions of the Z Locker. I can talk about both. So when the JL came out, they changed the locker system to a 4-wire system. So they put a sensor inside the locker to tell the Jeep whether the lockers are engaged or not. The older JK didn't have that. So in the JK, if you wanted to switch to air lockers or e-lockers, you could just cut the 2 wires and hook them up to your new locker or solenoid, and then it worked. In the JL, you couldn't do that. You get a service locker light that shuts down a whole bunch of things, makes the Jeep very unhappy. So we came up with a device that is plug and play. You just unplug the locker, plug our device in between. The first version is for aftermarket lockers. So you plug this device in, it's got connectors on both sides, it plugs directly into an e-locker. So if you swap out the lockers or you change the axles, you can just plug directly in. Or if you're using air lockers, you have an extension harness, you connect it directly up to your A or B solenoid. And in doing so, you do away with the need to do any kind of aftermarket switches. So you don't have to use the aux switches if you have them. You don't have to put an aftermarket switch bank anywhere. It keeps the Jeep thinking that their factory lockers are installed. So you still get the same messages on the dash, the lights work, the buttons work. Everything feels as if it's from the factory. So that's been quite popular with those that are doing Dana 60 swaps or whatever it is, it be. So that's one version of the Z Locker. And as it turns out, our second version has been far more popular, and we didn't see it coming. It actually turned out that we had a lot of customer requests saying, we have a problem with our lockers, can you fix it? A lot of these Wranglers Rubicons are having issues with the factory locker, where the sensor in them starts going bad, and you end up with the locker light flashing while you're driving, while you're not while you're not intending them to be gone. Ultimately, it'll say service 4-wheel drive, and you lose locker functionality altogether. And the fix for that, if it's under warranty, is you'd bring it to the dealer and they'd swap out the sensor. That would make sense. The problem is the sensor's not available independently. The locker assembly is not available independently. So they have to change the entire axle assembly, front or rear, whichever one it is, or both in some cases. Wow. If you happen to have changed gears, a lot of times the dealer will say, well, you changed the gears, you're no longer under warranty.
Right.
So now you're looking at a $3,000 repair for a faulty sensor. So our device fools the Jeep into thinking the sensor is there when it's really not. We made a plug-and-play version where you unplug your factory locker, you plug our device in between. You don't even have to lift the Jeep. It takes 2 seconds to climb under there and do it. And all the problems go away because the Jeep thinks the locker sensor is working as intended. Everything works as intended.
Amazing.
So we've even had a bunch of people, because once it does fail, you lose locker functionality. So if you go on the trail and you're middle of the trail and then the thing fails, which has happened, or you're on a 3-day trip and day 2 the thing fails, you're either driving home or you're stuck. We've had a lot of people actually buy them and just throw them in their glove box for when it fails, because it seems that almost all of them at some point, especially if you change the gears, they do fail.
Wow, very cool. Yeah, that's super interesting. And again, was that sort of born out of necessity? I know you said you didn't see the demand coming.
So if you look on our website, you'll see this was developed in conjunction with America's Most Wanted 4x4. This was Jared's idea. He came to me back in 2018 when the Jeep first came out, and he said we need aftermarket locker integration. He helped source some of the parts that we needed to do the testing and analysis to figure out how to do it. We only came out with the product, only
6 months
6 months ago.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, we were so busy. I didn't.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
So it's only available exclusively through America's Most Wanted 4x4 or through us on our website directly.
Amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. So I think I can definitely see how there would be a giant need for that. I could say our JL is brand new. Yesterday it was already giving me problems just on the trail. Like it wasn't disengaging, and it was So I could definitely see how you'd want to have one of those, especially like you say, if you're on a multi-day trip, something like that's probably good insurance to throw in your glove box. So.
Yeah, we've had a number of customers contact us saying, "Can you get one to us overnight?"
Yeah, right. Can you overnight it?
And I need it to my, sent to my hotel.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, that's awesome. So, so that covers, I think, the JL. Yeah. So we have the TaZer and we have the Z lockers for the JL. Am I correct? Is that?
We also have a front camera kit for the JL as well.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I forgot all about that.
Yes, which is pretty cool. So for the JL specifically, right?
We have it for the Gladiator too.
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit. So I know Gladiators come. Is it standard with the
it's
front
not
cam?
standard. It's an
not
option.
standard.
The trail
I see
cam is
it.
actually
Okay.
a pretty expensive option, but it's an option on the Gladiator.
Shocking.
So as soon as we heard about the Gladiator having a front camera, and we already had control to add a camera to the Jeep because that's carryover from the Charger and Challenger, where we were adding front cameras so you don't knock the chin spoiler on a curb. That's a common
Okay,
problem.
fair enough.
I did it on my own.
Right.
And we could also add, you can add a DVD player or a Fire Stick with Netflix. We do a lot of that stuff too. So we already had the control to add a camera to the 8.4 navigation system in the Wrangler. And as soon as we heard about the trail cam, we said, all right, well, we could do that. So we designed a mount for it that just... Everything we try to make so it looks like it came from the factory. So this is a simple kit that plugs into your grill. You run a wire over to the radio, and the TaZer is what activates it and allows it to be used while you're moving, because it's kind of useless if it turns off while you're moving.
Sure.
Okay.
Right.
So the TaZer is required to be plugged in order for it to stay activated.
Got it.
Worth mentioning, the TaZer will also allow you to keep the backup camera on while driving at any speed. So if
yes,
you're towing
used that
comes
yesterday
handy.
actually, just
Yeah,
for recording on the
feature.
trails. It was great because you could see the people
Yeah.
behind us. It was pretty awesome.
So we've been offering that kit for I don't know, probably 2 years now. It's gained a lot of popularity, especially since the Gladiator came out.
Yeah.
And then you have a lot of people with the Gladiator that didn't buy the front, the trail cam setup, and they want to add it. You can't add a factory trail cam to a Jeep after the fact.
Okay.
You can buy the parts, but it's so many parts. It's a couple $1,000s worth plus programming. It's really not feasible. You got to change the body harness and everything.
Wow.
So this is $179 kit. You plug in, you run a wire. It's pretty straightforward.
That's awesome.
The Gladiator mount isn't fully available yet, so you won't see it on our website yet. So what we've been telling people to do is buy the JL camera kit, and we send them a 3D printed mount for free after the fact. For now.
Okay. Cool. That's awesome. No, that's really good. And obviously, is there drilling required or anything like that, or is it just plug and play?
No, on the JL, the grill openings are smaller, so you do have to snip two of the pieces on the JL grill.
Okay, I got it.
In order to snip it in. But the replacement grill piece, if you decide to take it out, is a $15 part from the dealer. It's not so you're not chopping your $200 grill apart.
All right, cool. Yeah, good to know.
On the Gladiator, the openings are huge, so there was nothing to do. You don't modify the grill at all. You just plug the thing in.
Okay, amazing. All right, good. No, that's great. Yeah, it's a great product lineup, I think, for the JL. But you mentioned the JK as well. Tell us about what either you have currently or you have in development for the JK.
It's in development. It's actually at its very, very final stage. It will be available probably in about a week or two.
Okay. So probably by the time this airs, actually, because we're about a week or two out from airing.
Okay.
So, yeah, probably around that time.
So the JK offers a little bit more of a challenge to us because not because we can't program it, because we know how to do that from years back. Because there's no user controls. There's no dash display to play with to put text up on the screen.
Right.
The steering wheel buttons aren't available on every version of the JK. Some of them have, some of them don't. So we couldn't go with this fully integrated like we did on the TaZer, where you can use the dash display and the steering wheel buttons. So with that, we came up with a product that uses either an iPhone or Android app tied into our hardware, which can do all of the functions that this product can do. We call it the JK Blaster. It can do typical things like gear ratios, tire size, tire pressure monitoring system, turn on and off various settings. And it also has live features, just like the TaZer does, where you can where you can do light shows, line lock, operate the lockers, and probably a few other things, but I can't remember them at the moment.
Yeah, no problem.
Too many features.
That's awesome, though. I think it's
worth mentioning. It's also a full-blown scan tool, so it can read all your engine codes, and it's the full database of information. So it tells you what the code is, what the troubleshooting guide is, what the likely sensor is that caused it. So it's like an advanced scan tool.
I love it. Yeah, and a smart thinking, I think, to use the app. I mean, because you're right. They're really, with the JL, there's so much in the way of electronics, and you have the LCD screen and what have you. With the the JK, having had one, there's really not a lot there.
There's not much to work with.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no, I think that's great. That'll be very cool. So we'll keep our eyes out for that one. And will that is it have the same product name? I know you said the JK Blaster. Is that just the app, or is that the whole product itself?
That's the whole product. It's also the name of the app. Okay. The app is on the App Store and Google Play Store currently under that name.
Okay, amazing. I love it. So does that sort of sum up the JK in terms of what you have coming out at least in the short term?
In the short term, yes. Okay. I'm sure I'll come up with something else for the JK. Sometimes I don't really know where I'm going or what I'm going with. I just buy the car, play with it, drive it a bunch, and see what it needs.
Yeah, awesome.
listen to the community, and try to figure out where I can be of help.
Sure. The nice thing about the JKs, I think, is that it's now progressed to, I think, to where the TJs were a couple of years ago, in that everyone seems to be buying a JK and then doing a lot of things to it. As a matter of fact, even here, we're thinking, okay, well, we have the JL. I really miss my JK, and it's only been a month or so. So I think we're going to go and buy an older JK and then just throw on either tons or whatever and just make it like a trail machine. And I think a lot of people are doing that. So likely you'll see a lot of, in the community, a lot of suggestions how you all can make it better.
I've gotten some already, especially for these, what you guys call a junkyard swap, where you throw one that doesn't have wheel sensors. So I'd have to fool the ABS system into thinking that they're there. That's a likely candidate for another product. I didn't mention in the beginning, neither Mike nor I are really Jeep people. We never had them. I always thought they were cool, but we live on Long Island. There's really nowhere to go wheeling.
Right.
Yeah. So I was kind of forced to.
Well, the LIE is kind of like going off-roading. So.
So now we have two. We have a JK and a JL. I have to listen to the community a lot because I don't.
Of course, especially from the wheeling perspective, right? Like you can.
From that perspective.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean. Right, you've got a bit of a drive, I think, if you want to go anywhere really off-road. Let's talk about so I think we covered a little bit of where you came from and your current product offerings. Let's talk about the future of Z Automotive and where you see yourselves going with different products. Anything even for the JL or any other products in development currently?
We have a number of products in development.
Anything we're allowed to talk about?
We have a product that we're working on that ties into the communication bus of the vehicle and can control a bunch of universal outputs. So we don't really know exactly where we'll end up using it. A likely candidate is to do like a lighting controller where you use factory buttons. Again, that same theme where you're not adding any external buttons to the car or to the Jeep. May be able to run some macros so that you can program it. So, I don't know, let's say whenever you turn your fog lights on, that the light bar up top goes on or something like that.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You could also, the same product could be used to put the sway bar in a non-Rubicon and make it operate as if it was a Rubicon, or use factory locker buttons on a Sport and have it read the buttons and control your lockers for you so that you use, factory buttons again. So the short answer is I don't really know where it's going.
Got it.
I know we'll need it.
I love it.
That same product could end up in the trunk of a Challenger controlling a nitrous bottle,
Sure.
It's got so many uses that it's been something that we've kind of had on the back burner for a while, but being that we have more manpower now, we're able to, move a product like that along.
Sure. Okay. Amazing. Well, great. I think it's been super informative. Tell me, where can everyone find you all on the social web? So if they want to ask questions or if they have some ideas, what's the best place for them to get a hold of you and let you know, hey, this is something we need. Here's the challenge we face. Can you solve it?
So we're reachable by very many ways. On our website, on the Contact Us page, is our email for support, which will get to us anyway. There's a text number, which will get to me and others here. If you're on Facebook and on pretty much any Jeep group, JL or JT group, we're on there. You can tag us as Z Automotive, or a lot of people just know to tag me, Zizzadoro. There's a submit a request somewhere on the website.
Okay.
where you can submit an idea.
Sure, we'll link it up. We'll find it. We'll put it up in the show.
Yeah, we're very accessible. Let's put it that way.
Yes,
Okay.
we are.
The only thing we don't take is phone calls, because if the phone rang here and I had to be on a phone call every 5 minutes, I would never get anything done.
Yeah, fair enough. I hear you. I gotcha. Okay,
But we're very
amazing.
responsive.
Okay, great. No, that's the thing. The Jeep community as a whole. I mean, you fit. It's seemingly right. It's typically Jeep community is about community, right? So being able to be accessible and what have you is awesome, super helpful, and I'm sure somebody listening to this is going to have some great ideas. So I'm sure you're going to hear from some people. Yeah, because I mean, honestly, having had this for just a couple of weeks now, when I'm sitting in the parking lot and I'm bored, I just bring up the menu. I just start messing around. It's just,
Right.
There's just so many things you can do with it.
Do you have the 2-liter turbo in yours or no?
The 2-liter turbo, yes. Yeah.
You do. So you probably pulled up the boost gauge. You can check out how much boost you have while you're driving.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
A little motor makes 27 pounds of boost. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. Like I said, we took it out yesterday. First time we took it out wheeling, and it was awesome. Like, it was great. It did take I'd see what people had mentioned before about it spooling up. So it takes a second. So you'll be like in first gear, and then it fires into second. And
Yeah, there's a 1 second delay. Boost
Yeah.
delay, but it goes once it goes.
Yeah, that's the thing. It goes, right? It's awesome. So, like I said, I love the product. We're going to do a full review. It'll be out soon. So if you're watching this, chances are it'll be available by the time that this is out. So we'll link that up below as well. So, yeah, did we miss anything? Anything else that we can mention to the Jeep community here that we may have missed? I think we got it covered. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be something the second we stop.
I'm sure there's some major feature that I forgot to mention.
Right, but yes, like I say, we'll try to make sure that we list all the features and what have you, especially when we're doing our video upcoming. But yeah, I really appreciate it. I learned a lot. I love the product. I tell you, we typically only. We actually will have it for sale on the gbeef.com website, so we'll link that up as well. And honestly, we sell products that we believe in, and this is one of those products. Wait till you see the comparison between this and the Super Chips. Not trying to bash Super Chips, it's just the way it is. We had both.
They make a great product as well.
Yeah, it's just, but like you say, the idea of this being part of the vehicle. With the Super Chips, you got to plug things in, and I have to carry it around the little controller in my glove box, and this is just a better experience, if you ask me. Plus, much more fun to play with when you're just waiting for your wife to get it out of the store or whatever. Right? So, all right. I appreciate you both being here. Like I said, I learned a lot, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks again.
You too as well.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome.